Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 1970 comedy Multiple Maniacs.
Just a minute, just a minute. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see something that'll make your eyes pop right out of your head. Because of so-called guardians of public decency, we are not permitted to describe to you in any way the collection, the hardcore, live, in-person monstrosity that we have with us tonight.
Hey, that's not fair. This is a family-friendly movie review channel, which is why I will not be able to show many clips from this movie. Multiple Maniacs has a 100% fresh rating from the critics for some reason, and a 72% fresh rating from the audience. It was directed by John Waters. This is the first movie directed by John Waters that I've ever seen. That would imply that I have never seen Hairspray, which is true. I've never seen probably his biggest commercial success, which is Hairspray. It stars DeVine as DeVine, David Lochery as Mr. David, Mary Vivian Pierce as Bonnie, and Mink Stole as Mink Stole. Now, there's a lot of genres of movies out there, and each genre of movie is intended to get you to feel a specific way. It's intended to elicit some sort of reaction. A comedy, of course, wants you to laugh. A drama wants you to maybe shed a tear or maybe feel emotionally towards a specific subject. An action movie wants to get your heart pounding and wants you to really get in there with the movie and feel like you're right there with the movie. And then there's movies like this that clearly are there to repulse you. They're clearly there to try to make you laugh if this is the kind of comedy that you prefer. But I think it's really there to just it's a real dirty movie. It's a disgusting movie. It is there, like I said, it's there to disgust you. It's there to repulse you. It's just there to. There's definitely a certain audience that this appeals to, and I will say right off the bat that I am not that audience. Now, it is clear that John Waters, this was probably one of his early movies, because I believe he uses a lot of his friends in this movie. The acting is very poor in this movie, but it does it in a way to where the acting is so bad that it's funny. I don't know if that's really what they were going for. If it is, they've succeeded immensely. That the acting is so bad that it's actually hilarious. The writing is not great in my opinion. I'm It's 2023, and for me to be repulsed by this movie that was made in the 70s, I can only imagine what the people in the 70s felt for this movie. My assumption is this movie was like an underground movie. There's no way that this was a wide release. There's no way that this was a big release movie. So I'm assuming that this is like a cult following type of movie where it's appreciated that it was made on a shoestring budget. It's appreciated that it was like an underground indie type movie. And I'm sure that it has a huge following. I know John Waters has a huge following. I'm sure these actors became famous for what they did. I'm sure that there were a lot of people who clamored to see other things that these actors did. I will not be that person, though. I was very off put by this movie. So this movie opens up. We are introduced to Lady DeVine's Cavalcade of Perversion. Now, the opening to me is actually pretty funny. I thought okay, we're setting up really well here. This is going to be a funny comedy. Finally, a comedy. We don't get a lot of comedies for these 100% fresh movies. But I was somewhat wrong about this. So when the movie opens up, it's Mr. David. He is the boyfriend of DeVine. If you don't know who DeVine is a male in real life but plays a female in the movie. Now, I read that he only dressed up in female clothing when he was acting, when he was out on the street. When he was doing his day-to-day, he was a guy. So I'm going to refer to him as a woman for this movie because that's the part that he plays. So Mr. David is dating DeVine, and it's called DeVine's Cavalcade of Perversion. So she's the main star here. Now, Mr. David is inviting all these people into a free show.
Lady DeVine's Cavalcade of Perversion, step right up, step in.
Is it full? Because?
It's free, absolutely free, the show, yes.
Do we have time? We have some time, but
Only a few minutes show. Step right in, you have time, see the whole thing.
All right, come on, let's go.
The free show involves like a woman eating the seat of a bike. It involves a gentleman sniffing a bra. There is someone who's supposed to be eating his own vomit. There is a gentleman who is supposed to be high on heroin. And it's just like a cavalcade of perversion. It's like a sideshow type thing. So all these people are there, and obviously they're very grossed out by it. Their reactions are hilarious to these things. I'm assuming in the 70s this wasn't a big deal. Today it's kind of, not... I don't think as many people would care about what these people are doing. But back then I'm sure it was a big deal what was going on. So... the end of this cavalcade, the main attraction comes on. It's DeVine, and she basically comes out and she robs these people. It was a free show because at the end they rob everyone, so they don't need you to pay because they're just going to hold a gun to you and rob you. Now there's a woman who kind of speaks up and tries to defend herself, and DeVine apparently shoots this woman. Now, I thought this was a joke. I thought this was a gag that DeVine didn't really shoot this woman, because the gun is definitely a toy gun that makes a pop sound that is not like a real shooting of a gun sound. So I was a bit confused here. I didn't really think this woman was really shot. I was waiting for like the gag. I was waiting for, the explanation of what's happening. But no, apparently the woman was actually shot, and it's just a very obvious fake gun.
She's sick. We'll never get out of it.
What did you say?
I said you're sick and repulsive.
You, my dear, are dead.
So apparently also with this cavalcade, DeVine's becoming a little more a little more crazy, where she's starting to kill people, which she wasn't doing before. When they get home, Mr. David has this conversation with her about how she needs to stop flying off the handle, about how she's murdering people now, and the cops are going to eventually catch up with them. And then she makes this weird comment about Sharon Tate.
You are wanted for murder now, and they usually catch murderers.
Oh, and how about you, Mr. Angel? How about your being an accomplice? And how about Sharon Tate? How about that?
This movie came out, I believe, like months after Sharon Tate was killed by the Manson family, and she alludes to the fact that Mr. David had something to do with this, which is very weird to me. At the end of the movie, towards the end of the movie, they actually reveal that it was the Manson family, but I couldn't understand, why is she implicating, why are they even bringing this up in a case that's still active in a movie? It's very weird. And the murder of Sharon Tate, who was just murdered a few months before this, I don't understand. It's too far for me. I understand what they're going for. I'm sure they got the response they wanted to. I'm sure they elicited the response they were hoping for. But there's just a line to me that you don't cross. And for me, this crossed that line. I get... Like I said, I thought the beginning of this movie was funny. I get the humor. Honestly, I do get what they're going for. But it was too much. It happened so long ago, and I was taken aback by I couldn't believe that this was even mentioned. So she says, well, what about Sharon Tate? You're going to be implicated in the murder of Sharon Tate. And he acts as if he did it. Or he just doesn't remember that he did it. Maybe he was on drugs or something and he doesn't remember that he did it or not, but he does seem a bit worried by this. So after this event happens, he's cheating on DeVine with a girl named Bonnie. So he ends up going to see Bonnie. DeVine gets wind that this is happening, so she goes to confront them, and on their way to confronting them, she is just randomly raped in an alleyway. And she just makes it seem like it's more of an inconvenience than anything else. Just two people who are like on drugs just come up and rape her while she's in an alley. After this happens, she then meets this child who it's some sort of biblical reference. He's dressed like a pope or something, and he leads her into this church.
Go in. For what, I wondered? To pray? To mumble a few words of thanks for his help? To examine my conscience? Only now do I realize this great saint had led me to a church that was to change my life from the very moment I stepped into its hallowed hall.
Church, she meets a girl named Pink Stole, and they end up having sex in the church, in which Pink Stole ends up kind of inserting a rosary into her rectum, which is incredibly weird. Now, I'm not a religious person. I do believe that there's a higher power. I believe that there's a heaven, but I wouldn't say I practice religion. But this was so weird. This was so off-putting to me. I definitely wasn't expecting this. So that happens, and then we meet DeVine's daughter, who is named Cookie, who is like DeVine's like the one thing that DeVine has in the world that she loves. So Mr. David and his girlfriend Bonnie decide that they need to stop DeVine because she's just going too crazy with the murders, and it needs to stop. So they have this idea that they are going to get rid of DeVine. Now, at the same time, DeVine and now her girlfriend, now they're a couple, Pink Stole, decides that they need to get rid, or is it Pink Stole? Mink Stole decides that they need to get rid of Mr. David and Bonnie. So they decide they're going to get rid of each other. Now, it so happens that Mr. David ends up in the same room as DeVine's daughter. Bonnie comes in and shoots DeVine's daughter and kills her. At the end of the movie, DeVine kills everyone, and then, like, randomly, for some reason, she is raped by a giant lobster. And that's basically the movie. I probably left some stuff out. To be honest, I watched this movie a month ago and I meant to do this review. I just never got to it until now, and I just refuse to rewatch this movie. Just because of how bad it is, in my opinion. The acting is terrible, absolutely terrible. I'm going to show you a clip of Cookie, who's probably the daughter of DeVine, probably the worst actress I've ever seen in my life in a movie.
My very last choices have made, I can assure you, even Liberace would be more appealing to anyone with a particular neurosis you so rudely attribute to me.
Oh, you're both horrible and disgusting. I hope you're not here when I get back. I don't ever want to lay eyes on your faces again. I hate you. You've driven me from my own home.
And that's saying something, because DeVine's pretty bad too. Now, I get it, they're not real actors and actresses, they're just friends who agreed to do this movie. But I would like to think that if I asked my friends to act in a movie, that they would do better than this. Because this is just absolutely terrible. And like I said, the plot is, the script is bad to me. The plot is bad. The movie is so stupid and so terrible that it's funny. But that's not a movie to me that deserves 100% fresh rating. I mean, I've seen so many fantastic movies that are just brimming with great acting, great script writing, great cinematography, great everything. And like I said, I realize this movie is underground. This is an indie movie. This is a movie that had no budget, that type of thing. But it doesn't even make sense at points. The whole Sharon Tate thing to me was just weird. It didn't need to be there. It's almost as if they were going to put this Sharon Tate thing as a plot device in the movie, and then maybe it was actually discovered who actually did the killings, and so that they didn't get in trouble legally, they decided to actually just say who really did the killings, kind of pigeonholed in there when they really weren't going to. The lobster thing at the end of the movie, I'm sure there's an explanation to the lobster thing. I don't know what it is, and I have no will, no desire to Google it, to look it up, to figure out what the heck was going on there. It's just weird. It's clearly like a giant puppet type of thing. It's just really bad and really odd. At the end of the movie, DeVine just kind of goes crazy, kind of loses her mind for some reason. I guess this was supposed to be something that was boiling up throughout the movie, like when she wasn't killing people, and then she was. I don't know. I don't know why she ends up going crazy. I don't know what her motivations are. I don't know exactly what's going on with her. You're just supposed to understand that she's going crazy and that there's no explanation for it. The side characters are all terrible actors. Everyone in this movie is terrible as far as acting goes. There's really no cinematography here. It looks like it's just like a person with like just a camcorder who's filming things. And geez, I wish I could understand this movie more. I know there's going to be people out there who love this movie. There's going to be people out there who like this kind of movie. They're going to say that I'm wrong. They're going to say that this is, for what it is, it's probably the best version. It's the best example of what it is. That this is actually an art and this is a craft. And John Waters was a master of his art and a master of his craft and a master of what he did. I understand that. I understand that there's going to be people who are going to champion this movie. There's going to be people who are going to say that for the budget that he had, for the fact that he only had his friends acting, that what he did here was marvelous, and it moves people in a way that other movies can't do. And there's always people who have those opinions about these kind of movies. I just can't. I don't. It doesn't have anything that I enjoy. It doesn't have anything that I like, aside from the fact that it's funny when it's probably maybe not meant to be. I don't know. I won't give it extra points because I thought some of it was so stupid that it was funny. I thought the acting was so bad that it was funny. But this movie is just so grotesque. This movie is, it's just, it's evil, and it seems like it's evil and it's mean for no good reason. Especially the Sharon Tate stuff. I mean, that was so fresh in people's minds. It was months. It was literally just a few months after she was murdered. They're putting it in a movie and they're talking about how someone in the movie could have killed her. It's just so out of line to me. I wish I could express my feelings on this better, but it's not for me. This is easily the worst movie I've seen on this list so far. I wish I could understand it. I wish I could. I wish I could pretend like there was something about this movie that I really, really, identified with, but it's just not there. I just think this movie is bad all around. There was nothing redeeming for this movie besides the fact that it's funny when maybe it's not meaning to be. I would love to hear the people out there who love this movie. I would love to hear why you love this movie. It was the same with that Balthazar movie that I watched that I didn't understand. I'd love to hear people's reactions and people's opinions on this and why I'm wrong, because clearly, according to Rotten Tomatoes, I am wrong. This movie has a 6.5 on IMDb, so not nearly as good. The 71% or 72% for audience is not great also, but it's definitely higher than I'm going. I'm going with a 4.5. A 4.5 is the worst rating that I've given a movie so far. Hopefully it doesn't go down from here. But this movie, it just irked me the wrong way. It just pushed those buttons for me. That was basically no coming back. There was no coming back from the Sharon Tate thing. It's very early in the movie, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. I couldn't get over it. The whole movie, all I thought about was those Manson murders and how terrible that was, and how that probably should never have been mentioned in a movie that early. especially you have the family of those victims who have to put up with stuff like this, and they're doing it for shock value, and they got that shock value, but all I think about is the pain that the family went through, the pain that the relatives went through, and it's just it's just such poor taste for me. I can't give anything better than 4.5, and that's just because I thought it was awkwardly funny sometimes. Thank you. I hope you join me for my, if I haven't lost you guys yet, I hope you join me for my next review, which is going to be The Last Picture Show. Have a great day.